Hello, my sweet friends. Welcome back to my podcast. I know I'm a couple of days late. I'm fine with that because I was busy working in the background on creating some new content for my online courses specifically, but also for my retreats and all of the other offerings that I have up and coming. And I was just so damn busy. And I had the space and time to do that. So I just ran with it. I just took the time and worked on my content. And I'm like, I will get to my podcast as soon as I'm done. So here I am. So I have written down clearings. So I'm going to talk about clearing today. Let's see. I don't think I have. I have a list here of all the podcasts I've ever done. I know it's a topic that has come up before, like a lot of these topics are definitely repeatable, or we speak about them in different ways, or we bring different concepts or the same principle comes up in different situations or different concepts. And so I know I have talked about it before. I don't think that I have done full on conversation about it. And you know what? I remember the reason I wrote that one down was because I was talking in the last one and I said, hey, I'm going to do that one in my next session, my next podcast. And of course, I remembered that for a time and then I forgot why exactly I was saying that. So I just have this topic, clearings, and I'm just going to talk about what I'm going to talk about rather than worrying about what I was talking about back then. All right. So if you do feel like you need me to update something, hey, just reach out. I will answer any questions. I will finish any stories. It's fine. It's all good. um, but clearings, I know it's important. Um, I looked back and I saw the list of, so forgiveness was for the last one, and that is doing the inner work. And clearings was probably, so this is what I'm going to run with, probably about doing the outer work. And what I was actually just speaking about in my content and on my online courses and stuff like that, I was actually just teaching about um, clearing your home, clearing your land, clearing your spaces, clearing, like doing like cord cuttings, clearing attachments, clearing curses, clearing the outside impact that clearing others impact off of you, and holding that space for yourself and doing that, because that is very important for the empath. And I think that is what I was talking about last time. Empaths can pick up on other people's stuff and the stuff from around them, right? The energy in their home, the energy on their land, the energy. Honestly, I go to places and my demeanor changes depending on who I'm around. And it's not because I'm a terrible person. It's because I'm picking up on the energy. So, I mean, if you think about it this way, if you're going into a funeral home and you're coming from the bar, not that I just, anyways, let's not even say the bar. Let's say what I'm trying to say is when I would go into the bar, it would be with friends and we would laugh and we would joke. But let's say you're coming from a restaurant. So you're laughing and you're joking, you're coming from a party and you're like laughing and, like you're in high spirits and you're having a good time, you're socializing, you're connecting and all of that. And then you walk into a funeral home, you're not going to keep that same demeanor, right? You're going to resonate with the space, right? You're going to resonate with the space. Now, we need not let that space have a huge impact on us, meaning we need not take that home with us, right? I mean, if there's a reason we're going into the funeral home because of grief or some grief that we're held on to, or there's a reason we're coming from this party, even if we're coming from a party as an empath, I hold on to those connections in the way of, I felt joy, I felt at peace, I felt comforted in the social aspect of that. I take away my feelings and I leave their feelings either at their home or I clear them out of my home. And it's kind of like, yeah, someone could have, been super stressed that day. came over, had this great time and dropped their stress on my doorstep. And it's just like, nope, let's sweep that out. Off you go, away you go, take your stress home with you. And so we do change demeanor depending on the circumstance, right? That's just kind of normal. And we do pick up on what other people are going on, like what's going on within them or around them, or the people that we're around. And that's okay. And that's fine. And then we need to do the clearings. We need to do the cord cuttings or the clearing of our home, or really step back into who we really are. So I'm doing this because in the course I was describing a container. And so, like, this is your personal space. You have this container around you. You have this personal space. This is your aura, and this is your energy, and no one else gets to. And I don't say ever come in. You definitely connect with them. They're allowed to come in to your personal space, and you connect with them, and then they take their energy and it's gone, and you have your space back. You don't have to hold on to their baggage, right? You don't have to hold on to any attachments they drop, any stress they drop, any problems they drop, any belief systems that they drop on your doorstep. And when I mean we can speak about your physical home doorstep, or we can just mean like hand to you as a person in your personal space. They drop this belief system in your personal space, and you do not have to keep it. You do not have to take it on. You don't have to live your life or continue to feel the energy of their limiting belief system. You can move back into, you can acknowledge their belief system, and then continue to stay in your own, obviously, belief system, but you don't have to hold on to their energy. Like, their belief system comes with energy, probably anxieties and fears, all of those kind of things, insecurities, maybe some shame, some blame, some grief, some guilt, things like that. And that's theirs to hold. That's not yours to hold. So you send it back home with them, back to their personal bubble, back to their personal space, and they get to keep it, and they get to deal with it, and they get to take care of that, and they get to heal it. And if you're super sensitive, this is very important to do. So we need to do nightly clearings, or morning clearings, or afternoon clearings, or daily clearings. We also have to do, home and land clearings. We also have to do, just staying in that meditation. And that brings to mind, and I'm sure I've said it more than once, because this is one of my favorite things to stay, but like, stay on your own mat. And this is a yoga thing that I know I've preached before. But I think what I was talking about, or I have brought up before, is that we get to keep our stuff on our own mat. We keep our stuff on our own mat. But if anyone tries to project onto us, or we can feel other people's stuff, we also get to set that boundary and say, this is my mat. This is my mat. This is my experience. This is my feelings. These are my thoughts. And I don't need to take home your energy. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, I mean, decluttering, I think I've spoken to you guys about decluttering. Very, very important for cleaning and clearing your space, your home. Decluttering in all ways. You can also clean out like your email inboxes. You can clean out your daytime schedules, however you have that, or your calendars schedules. You can clear out your workload. Kind of like you can not multitask. Delegate and your workload to other people. So check off your checklist really quickly. So you can clean that up as well. You can make sure like you're filing your paperwork or getting rid of your paperwork, and maybe have things online. But if you're having them, I shouldn't say online, but like on your computer digitally, if you have them digitally, you need to make sure you are organizing them and staying refreshed, because otherwise they start to pile up digitally, and that is just as burdensome and cluttering as not doing that. So that's important too. You can clean up not just like your Facebook or your social media friends list. You can clean up those as well, your email contact list. But you can also really reevaluate your relationships in your life, and really clean and clear out the ones that aren't serving you anymore, the ones that just don't feel right, and the ones that are having a big impact on your life in a negative way. And you can clear those out too and just say, I don't have any extra time to spend with you. Kind of, we're done. It's fine. And that's all good. I'm trying to think of what other ways can we clean and clear and declutter and cord cut, and we can remove attachments from our homes, and that can be things that we're attached to, or people that are attached to us, right? That, speaking of those relationships, you can also clean and clear out any organizations that you want to be associated with. You might have just outgrown some, right? You might have there was probably a space and a time and a place for these ones to, for you to be involved with in your life. And then there's a time and place where we just don't need to be involved with them anymore. And if we're not involved with them, you really clear them out. You don't necessarily have to take yourself off like their email lists or their mailing lists or things like that. But you could, because if you're starting to read their communication again, you are involved with them, right? You're still involved with them in some way. Yeah, a lot of people these days are cleaning up, like they're on a lot of email lists and they're unsubscribing from email lists, places and spaces that don't resonate with them anymore. They needed them for a time and place, and that's fine. And they received the service or the product or whatever that they needed, and now they're on these email lists, which is a great way. Like there's nothing negative about this, but it's a lot. It's a lot to get 50, 100, a couple hundred emails a day or a week or a month or whatever, to receive all these emails of these places that served us at one point, and then we're no longer using anymore, right? Some place that you might have bought clothing from and it was fine and it was good, but now you like you've chosen a different store to buy your clothing from. You don't need to shop at the same store anymore. You don't even want to. You don't need to continue to be on their lists. What are the making sure that you are doing like just a deep cleaning of your home, like physical cleaning of your home, and decluttering those spaces. That really opens up a lot of space and a lot of energy. We don't realize that the clutter in the garage or the clutter in the closet or the clutter in the basement is holding a lot of energy. You bought all of those things at one point that served you for some reason. Sorry, my chair is stuck. Small difficulties. It served you for some reason, but you don't need to hold on to the decorations from your 1-year-old's birthday party when your child is already 21 years old. Like, that's 20 years of holding on to the energy of the birthday party you threw 20 years ago. Okay? You can definitely like pass those on to other people with 1-year-old birthday parties. If something is trash, obviously you can throw it in the trash. Hopefully you would have done that a long time ago. You can also send that to Goodwill or something like that. Decluttering is unexplainable until you feel it. It really is. And which is why I think a lot of people are going to the minimalist lifestyle, and a lot more people are going to like the tiny home lifestyle or RV lifestyle. Some are going on like a travel, like they just jump from place to place to place. They don't actually have a home or a space to live. I don't know if they live in necessarily like hotels, but they live maybe more in short-term rentals. A month here, a couple months here, 3 months in this location. I don't know the logistics of, but I know there's people who travel and they don't actually own their own home. So they own fewer possessions is what I'm saying. And that comes with a lot of freedom, not just to own less possessions and obviously freedom to move around, but it comes like it opens up a lot of space. It opens up a lot of energy it opens up a lot of, gives us a lot of mobility. And it's fine to have a home, and it's fine to be settled down. And I'm not putting this down at all. It's fine to have belongings, and that's perfectly fine. But what I'm saying is if that's the space you're in, make sure you keep it the most uplifted that you possibly can, right? Continue to uplift your life, continue to uplift your spaces, continue to um, just kind of be present, like have a space that serves you rather than you being, you know, a servant to the space, right? And it's the same kind of with like other people in your space, putting up that personal container. Your home is a reflection of who you are, and your lands. Anything, your community is a reflection of who you are, where you hang out in these organizations, friendships, friend circles, things like that. That's a reflection of who you are. So always kind of going back and really reflecting on how do you want to be of service to the world, right? Like, how do you want to be viewed? Where do you want to make an impact? And who do you want to make an impact on you, right? Always having it kind of be an uplifting space, always trying to put yourself in uplifting spaces rather than draining spaces. And clearing out the places that aren't serving you anymore. And no judgment. We already went over that one. No judgment, no shame, no blame, just delete. just And when I say delete, I don't mean like just delete that friend or whatever. But yes, I do. Just delete that email, just delete that friend, not necessarily block, but, turn off that Facebook, social media friend or whatever. But just toss it in the garbage, repurpose, send it to someone else's house. Someone is going to appreciate it. It served you, whatever the heck it is, has served you in the moment for whatever you were using it for. Like, it was probably a beautiful first year birthday party for your little baby, right? A beautiful one. But you don't need a box of decorations sitting in your garage. And I'm not trying to call anyone out. You don't need that box of decorations sitting in your garage for the next 50 years, right? We can move through that. We can let it go. Let me repeat that. We can let it go, and we can make that space. It's so freeing to just have things not just cleaned up and organized, but just have space, right? Have space to breathe, have space to live, have space to show up. So yeah, there is the space of the inner work that we have to do, and then there's the space of the outer work we have to do. And it's not just decluttering. There's a whole, like I said, I'm creating these online courses. I'm in the middle of it, in the mediumship course. I speak about home and land clearings and clearing your spaces and doing all that kind of stuff, because clearing your spaces energetically, so we have to do it spiritually, we have to clear out emotionally, we have to clear out just negative energies like negative thought patterns or depressed feelings or things like that. All of the bad stuff that's in our house. So we have to clear out the energy as well as the physical. So I'm talking about like the decluttering of the physical, but even the brain space, all that space that are not just our computers or our lives or our social space or whatever hold, or our phones or anything, but they do take up quite the mental capacity. Like, I do believe people probably had a bit of a better life before because they weren't on their phones all day and they were outside for the most part. Most people, had more of a one-on-one relationships with people and not the full social media from everywhere around the world, tapping into them all at once, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people watching and following them, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. But that's a lot of energy to hold, right? And always be present and always be part of. And they got outside. So instead of sitting, as I am, sitting in front of my computer, but instead of sitting in front of their computer or on their phone, they're outside and they're breathing, and they had breathing space, and their houses were smaller and they were more connected. I was just thinking about this They were more connected with family, with friends. They had more trust. They had more respect. Like the community that I grew up in the 80s, I was born in the 80s to date myself. Um, Not that that's that old, but it's getting it's getting there. All the new generations coming up. It's the mid ages. Anyways, um, but the community that I was born in the 80s is not the community that's there now. Before, when I grew up, I knew every single person who lived in every single house. And we were friends and we were neighbors. I didn't even live in town, but my grandparents did. And obviously, I went to school there, and it was a very small community. That's why we knew everyone. And we knew where all the other kids in class lived. And we knew the rural kids, and we knew everyone. And not everyone was best friends with everyone, but they respected them, or they had some kind of respect for them. They had some kind of trust for them. They were neighborly. They could go borrow a cup of sugar and know that it wasn't spiked with something. Like they trusted them, and there was kindness, and there was compassion, and there was connection, and people sat around telling stories and playing cards and doing all the things. Now, I'm not saying back when was perfect. It wasn't. There was a lot of stuff go on, and a lot of stuff was going on, a lot of hard stuff. But I think people got through it because the community band together. We had social functions, we had community events, we did fairs, we did dances, we did parties, we did birthdays. Not just like little kid birthdays, but we did like grandparents' birthdays and all the things. And the community and the families banded together, and everyone knew everyone. If you went to that same community 40 years later, I am only 40 years old, 40 years later, hardly anyone in that community knows. I'll bet you, and I don't know this as a fact, but I bet you the only person in that community that knows everyone is the postmaster, because, or maybe the RM and village people, because they speak, like they have the contacts of everyone in every house, for tax reasons and stuff. And they come in and they speak to them. So even if they don't even know, but anyways, that those are the only people who know everyone in that community, because people don't go door to door, and we don't have social functions as we did anymore, and people don't socialize, and they don't walk up and down the streets because they don't even want to be seen outside. And it's a completely different time, and I don't even know why I'm going on this tangent, but what I'm saying is, for that freedom, for that space, for that clearing and cleansing, we need to exercise. We need to get out of the house. We need to breathe outside air. We need socialization. I have a list. I found it on the internet. The internet is a beautiful thing. I am not dissing it at all. Like, I'm not saying anything bad about it. It has its time and it has its place. And then we need to get off our butts. But so it's something I found on the internet that said the 6 best healers, or the 6 best doctors or something. And it said fresh air, sunshine, exercise, food, good food, like nutritious food, water, and rest. And I want to add to that socialization, connection. We need to connect with people, and we're not getting that anymore. I know I'm not getting that, and I know other people aren't finding that same space of community anymore. It's all gone online, and we're connecting in a different way, and it's not true connection. And it's just giving, it's a whole different vibe. And we need to get back, and we need to connect, and we need to get outside. I'm planning my retreats, and I'm planning my outside summer things. And I don't know why this little lecture is coming out when I was talking about cleaning your houses, cleaning your land, decluttering, and clearing and setting those boundaries and cutting the cords and all of that kind of good stuff too. Yeah, all of that clearing. We need to, well, I'm just going to throw this in there. We need to clear our minds. We need to clear our hearts, like clear our emotions. We need to connect spiritually and we need to connect physically, like to Mother Earth. And we can do that not just by getting outside, but it's a very easy way of doing it. Um, I don't know. It's coming through. Maybe this is a message for me. Maybe it's like get off your computer and get outside, because I have been video recording all day. And so it is mid afternoon. Maybe it's a message for me. Get off your butt, get off your computer, and get outside. So I will do that because I have a few minutes, and I will go take a few deep breaths outside. And I will go for a short little walk. But I do need to come back just before supper and connect in a meeting. I have a coaching call in about half an hour. So I will take a few minutes. I will go save my cats. We'll go for a walk. And I will be back on my computer. But those are so important. And I don't know why clearing and cleansing. But you know, another thing to do, speaking of spring and summer and all that good stuff, the last few days have been, I shouldn't say absolutely beautiful, but they have been in the plus temperatures. And I have opened the windows, not necessarily the doors, but you know, in the summer when you can like open your screen doors and stuff, and let that fresh air in. That is a beautiful way of clearing and cleansing your home. And also adding plants. I don't have a lot. I'm in the basement. I don't have a lot of plants down here, but adding plants to your room, you know, brings that outdoor essence in, and it really helps. What else do you guys want to know about clearing? It's very important. I do it. I try to do some in the morning, but mornings are usually chaotic around here. But I try to take a few deep breaths in the morning, set some intentions, and then I'm off and running. Then I usually do clearings throughout the day. If something comes up, and just be like, that felt funny. That felt silly. That felt different. I was feeling like this, and now it's like this. Clear that out during the day. And then at the end of the night, this is usually when I find the time to wind down and do my final clearings. And so I sleep a lot better after I do my final clearings and figure out what in the heck was coming up that day. And when I'm cleared at the end of the night, it actually makes me, or it makes it easier for me to do my morning intentions and start on a fresh note, because I've cleared the day before. And so I'm starting on a fresh note, and that actually makes those mornings a little bit easier. I know a lot of people get up and they do amazing rituals in the morning. My morning rituals are very short and sweet, but they suffice for now until the universe guides me otherwise. I'm setting my intention and I'm doing my work. So that's it on clearings. Do your work. Clear, cord cut, all the things. Clear yourself. We pick up a lot of things. We pick up, I was going to say community things, but just collective. We pick up the collective consciousness and the collective energy. We pick up on other people, so like specific people's things. I was also going, and I was talking about this in my empathy. So I'm also creating an empathy and sensitivity course, which I think I have definitely spoke to you at one time about. But we actually pick up other, like when you really open your intuition, when you really step into this work, I am super sensitive, and I've mentioned that before, which is fine. So that's not everyone's, not the space that everyone is in. But once you start doing this work, you become more sensitive. You become more open. You become more attuned to, you know, your intuitive, your sensitive nature, right? And when you're doing that, you become more empathic. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, you not necessarily are you telepathic. There's a chance, you know, you might pick that up as a skill if that's one of your intuitive ways of understanding. But you can pick up other people's emotions, obviously. You can pick up other people's belief systems. and you can hear other people's thoughts, right? Like you can tune into other people's thoughts. So we need to clear those out, and that is what I clear out. So it's just, I'm getting to a point where in my bubble, in my container, just me and God, me, God, and Mother Earth, connected above, connected below, connected within. So like centered and grounded within, and that's all that's allowed in my bubble, so I can feel my best at any given time, so I can walk into a room and show up as authentically um, as possible, am I resonating with what's going on? Yes. Excuse me. Am I deciphering, like I was saying, am I deciphering the feel of the room? Yes. But when I leave that room, excuse me, or that experience, I'm showing up authentically, and I am fully me. So I don't leave any of me there, and I don't take anything with me. Does that make sense? Okay, I hope that makes sense. That's what's been working for me, because the more sensitive I get and the more empathic, and if I have not gone into some of that, I'm not seeing it maybe on the other list. If I've not gone into that, I should go into that. Yes, I have a while ago. I don't know. I'll go and I'll see what I've spoke about empathy and sensitivity, because it's, if you're on this podcast, you are an intuitive person, and if you're an intuitive person and you're doing this work, you have some sense of sensitivity and some sense of empathy. So, you really need to keep your awareness open for that, and that's the clearing that we're talking about, and that's what I was talking about on. I'm sure, I don't remember, but of the forgiveness. And I think forgiving and doing our own work is one piece, and the empathy and sensitivity is another piece. Yeah. So that's my podcast on clearing. You know where to find me. It should be in the show notes. But if not, just Google soul2soulhealing.ca. Find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, find me on YouTube. I have a LinkedIn page. It's not super active. I might still be on Twitter. It was connected. So if you're on Twitter, you might be able to find me there. But I don't know if it's still, I'm not actively putting it on, but I think it was connected. So if I put something on Facebook, it might be putting the links to my Facebook. I'm not sure. I will have to, I don't resonate with Twitter, but you can check it out there if you want. I might not be on there. Go check it out. I don't know. I am active on Facebook, and I am active on Instagram. So I'll see you guys over there.